Guys, hot topic around the Broncos country today would be, should the starters be playing? Sean Payton said that on Friday's game, the starters would see about 15 snaps. I got into it today with Mario Vitanzi on the Fan Cave on whether or not it's appropriate for the starters to play during the preseason. There's two schools of thought here. You play them and you risk injury, or you play them and you don't play them and you risk having false starts or penalties or mismanagement of clock or just a complete misunderstanding of the game of football, as we saw in 2022 as Nathaniel Hackett and the Denver Broncos lost to the Seattle Seahawks. With the Raiders upcoming in week 1 and Friday being the inaugural preseason game 1, how do you guys feel about the starters seeing some snaps as we head into it's officially football season?
So I'm against the grain on this. I feel like with my people I love, like Robbie and Zach. Zach, I don't know how you feel about this, but I just feel like you're gonna fall in line with these other people and Frankie and everybody else. I feel like preseason is kind of important because I don't know. There's some stuff that I just cannot evaluate in training camp, guys. I'll be completely honest. There's just some stuff I cannot. Running back position, really, really hard. Offensive line, really tough to evaluate. Defensive line, super tough to evaluate. All of these positions, very tough to evaluate in the preseason. So I do think that training camp is important, especially when I'm still sitting here debating some starters. Like, what is Brandon Johnson going to do? I want to see him in live action. That's where I want to see him. These one-on-ones and these training camp actions is not going to get it done for me. So I do think that training camp is important. Are they running them a little too much? Probably. 15 to 18 snaps is crazy for a preseason week 1. That's about, if they go 3 and out, how many is 15 to 18 snaps?
Well,
right?
Joey,
Broncos of the past. This is crazy.
Let's give Zach a statistic here because I think it's really important to note that the teams last season in 2022 who rested their starters through the preseason went 3-8 in week 1. Zach, how do you feel about starters playing in the preseason?
Well, here's the thing. Not only does it put you in not playing starters, not only does resting those starters put you in a worse spot to win games week 1 early on in the season, I'd argue even throughout the season, because you're behind the 8 ball the whole time. Even as you catch up, the other teams are progressing as well. They remain ahead of you. Right. So not only are you like losing that preparation advantage, I think it is very debatable whether or not it even protects people. I think it's very, very debatable. Who are like the leading,
that's on my side.
Who are the leading figures? The schools of thought, to Bree's point, are like, you either prepare to play football by playing football, or you prepare to play football by like emulating it as close to possible and kind of limiting contact and everything. Right now, you prepare to play football by playing football side looks like they've won. Okay, foremost figures on this, resting starter situation, right? The Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan tree are really leading the charge here. That younger new age coach thinking. Denver, most injured team in the NFL last year, according to adjusted games lost, which is an amazing Football Outsiders metric that looks at how impactful these injuries were to every NFL team and how injured every team was, how many games were missed, how many snaps were missed, etc. The Broncos, most injured or most damaged by injury team in the league. The Rams, right? So another one of these McVay Shanahan teams, are second. And those teams are in the last 2 places by 1.5 miles. Then you have the Titans, who are more like you play football, but then they also rested a good number of their big starters last year, like Tannehill and Henry and whatnot. Arizona, a big rest the starters team. All right, so those are your 4 most injured teams. Your least injured teams are in the top 4. You have Pittsburgh and Kansas City. Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin are both big play the starters guys. So in terms of like even protecting yourself from injury, if we look at the extremes, the extremely hurt teams are the teams resting their players. The extremely healthy teams are the teams letting their guys play football. So again, the only argument you can make for the resting thing is, well, this is how you protect people. If you look at the data, that idea is very questionable.
Interesting. Okay. Zach's on my side. I didn't expect it.
You roll out a new system here, which is exactly what Sean Payton is doing. I can understand if it was his 5th year coaching the Denver Broncos, but it's his first. And Russell Wilson has this one chance, this one shot, this one opportunity to come in and kind of redeem himself, rewrite the narrative that his career is presently taking on for 2023. I think it's only appropriate that you put them out there. Zach, it's an important point to show exactly what Andy Reid does, and he plays them a myriad of combinations of quarters. You're not looking for a Patrick Mahomes to be out on the field for longer than necessary, but there's a couple of fine-tuned movements. Training camp is one speed, preseason is another speed, and NFL regular season is a whole another level. I think the only appropriate way moving forward is to really up that progress and momentum. Like I said, and I'm going to beat this dead horse, Nathaniel Hackett basically walked through the entirety of the preseason, and the results weren't great. I think 180, you flip the script and you see if the outcome isn't better, because if the Broncos don't go 2-0 in the regular season against the Raiders and the Commanders, we're in for another long season. And I think we can all agree there here on the show. A couple of comments